Well, it goes without saying they're the most athletic team we've played. They can make plays both on and off the ball that are extremely impressive. They the ball on and off. How they punk teams on the glass is impressive. Those are my impressions.
Well, everybody knows to shoot 3-pointers. How does that affect your defense, or does it?
We don't change, based on who we play. I mean, we're going to try to keep the ball in front of us and contest shots. Whether you're, a 50% three-point shooter or a 25% shooter, the game, the way we play it defensively, is to keep the ball in front of us, and that's a big challenge with Kentucky.
Given their penchant for getting in passing lanes and turning the ball over, how much of a burden is it going to be on your guards to make sure that they can get the ball into that?
It's a burden on any team that plays them. I think that's a big part of how you're successful or not against Kentucky. Higgins is maybe the most disruptive defensive point guard in the country. He did it against us last year. We're not the only team. He's had multiple games where he's had a ton of steals. So being able to be protective of the basketball yet aggressive, really, really important.
Chris, Dwayne mentioned it's important to be the aggressors tomorrow. He mentioned it actually quite a bit. How much has that been your message to the team?
Good. I'm glad he mentioned it. It's good. We said the same thing last year. We weren't very aggressive.
You think your experience gives you any kind of upper hand here?
I don't think anybody has an upper hand. I think you have to earn what you get on the floor. Experience should help, but we've got to go out and earn it. And it's not going to be an easy environment. They're obviously down after losing a couple games. They've got competitive kids. It's going to be a challenge, and one that I hope we're up for.
Chris, you've been part of. Go ahead.
What has the vibe of losing around practice that they had some time off and was able to, I guess, get the legs back a little bit?
Our vibe's the same every practice. We have high energy. You guys are always invited to practice. Kenny knows that, but the vibe doesn't change. I mean, if we're up because we're playing a certain team, then we're not going to be a very consistent team. So for us, the vibe every day is high energy. It's expected that you compete in our practices, but to go outside and say there's anything more, I would be lying.
Bruce, you were part of what seemed to be a pretty contentious rivalry between X and UC. Do you prefer rivalries that way?
I just think it's rivalries are just that. There's familiarity. There's a desire to win the game. Fan bases hate each other, except for Kentucky's. They seem to really like me. Everyone I meet, always says that they root for me every game but one, and so I'm trying to figure out which one that is. But I know that they're lying when they say that to me. I figured it out because I never root for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I never root for the St. Louis Cardinals. So I figured it out. They're actually lying to me. No.
Has your relationship with Calipari changed since you took the job here? I mean, I think when you got hired, you guys had a pretty good relationship. Has it changed, or does it?
No, he's always been very good to me. I mean, I don't see him very often. My car doesn't make its way down to Lexington often. But I've worked fantasy camps with him. I've obviously been in the same, stands. I got a lot of respect for the job he's done, in the course of his coaching career. But to say we have a deep, long relationship, it's not really there. It's no fault of either of ours, but he's always been gracious to me.
A number of coaches who said that when Kentucky is involved with a player, that they kind of back out, recognizing they can't compete. Have you ever had that experience, either Xavier or here?
With Kentucky, we never backed out, but we've had a tough time winning that battle.
Have you ever won a battle?
I don't know. It's hard to know. They do a great job in recruiting.
You talk about environments. Obviously, Rupp is a unique experience. Does anything else have to be said to the players, or because of that experience, do you think they're prepare for big games like this?
I mean, I think that's why you come to Louisville, to play on the biggest stage, to play in meaningful games, to play in rivalry games, to play in games that have national implications. So, you know, I don't think there has to be any extra fuel for motivation, if that's what you mean. You know, we have to be the same team between their lines as we are in ours every single day in practice. And, you know, when you start to change who you are because of the environment, then your teammates lose trust in you. You know, you start to crumble. And it's an easy place to crumble. You know, they got a great fan base. But having said that, you know, I like the resiliency of our team. I think we have experience, and we're going to have to be the better team for 40 minutes if we expect to win the game.
When Dwayne mentioned being the aggressor to you as a coach, what do they have to show you that your team will be the aggressor?
Well, I think being strong with the ball on the offensive end, strong with our decision making, you know, relentless on the glass on both ends of the floor, and not, you know, at 3 or 4 minutes at a time, but for 40 minutes, and to not blink when the other team goes on a run and the roof comes off, because that happens in other teams' buildings. Being able to be mentally tough enough to deal with a run and respond, and that's what we're going to have to do if we expect to win.
Other than the state tournament, when was the last time you were in rough?
Probably another state tournament. The Ohio State Xavier tournament game with Greg Oden, where we got screwed. I can say that as years ago. Officials are no longer officiating. Sean Miller would never say it, so I'll stick up for him. Greg Oden's 5th foul was a flagrant. You can look it up on YouTube, although it's really grainy at this point.
Anything else from anyone? Good, great, thank you.
Thanks.